Hey guys, welcome to another session of Ask Auntie Nella. Minnesota is dealing with a nice bit of snowfall today, so I'm going to give you guys a little bit of time to log on. Once you guys get on, don't forget to say hi. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. I know I say it a lot, I drill it all the time, but please, 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 I want you to stay connected to me just as much as I can stay connected to you. So go on to my YouTube page and subscribe to my YouTube page. Tonight's topic is going to be a nice topic. I got somebody to send me this topic. Somebody sent it to me and I thought it was a really good topic. And tonight's topic is it always the man's responsibility to approach a woman? So we're going to dig in a little bit with that. And while we're waiting for people to log in regards to it, I'm going to share just a little bit of what I think. I think sometimes what happens is with this new millennium type of atmosphere, a lot of people tend to approach, I would hope if they see somebody like they're okay with approaching them. And so I don't see anything wrong with it. I think if you like something, approach them. I don't think it's a bad thing to do, but we're going to dig in a little bit deep and, get some vibes from you guys. Hey, Mia, get some, info from you guys and what you think about it as well. So we'll connect with that. So I'm going to give it a little bit more time here for some more people to come in. Hey, Les, while you guys come in. Hey, Corey. But yeah, I think it's going to be an awesome topic for us to, have a conversation about, because I think a lot of times us as women, we think we're privileged. We truly think that we're privileged simply because we are women and we expect that to happen. We expect that a man should approach us. But you know what? This is a new day and age. And, sometimes if you like something, you see something, maybe he may be shy. He might be just as shy as you to approach you as well. So it's always key to make sure if you're seeing somebody and you're liking them, nothing's wrong with it. Just think about it as a big picture. Nothing's wrong with you approaching that person. Not one thing at all. We'll give it here about another minute or so. Like I said, when you guys come on, please say hi and I'll say hi back. But yeah, I don't think anything's wrong with you approaching somebody if you like them. If you like them, approach them. So let's go ahead and get started while we're waiting for some more people to log on. But we can go ahead and get started and get this session started. I'm gonna say, for me, I don't think anything is wrong with you approaching somebody if you like that person. If that person didn't approach you or have not approached you, and you feel like, I have enough of guts to, approach them, hey, by all means do it. I don't think it devalues you as a woman by approaching them. Sometimes, it may, that man may appreciate it, because just like we are as women, we're fearful a little bit to approach a man. There's men out there who are fearful as well. Maybe they've been in a position where they've gotten shot down so many times that they kind of stay back and they lay back a little bit longer until they know for sure you're interested in them. So just like we, may, and some people may say play a game, I don't think it's a game that we're playing. I just think that from way back when, it was always laid out there that it's the man's responsibility to approach the woman. But I will always say, and I always say, if you like something or you don't like something, then you need to speak up. And so if you see somebody that you may think that you might like or that you're interested in, by all means, approach them. I would just approach them in a nice hi, or hey, I see I see you're new here tonight, or something to that effect. To just walk up to them, break the ice a little bit. Don't ever be afraid, because you never know. Someone may not have the confidence that you may have, and so it's important to make sure you're out there. But don't ever think that you're discrediting yourself by approaching a man or telling a man that you like them. Nothing's wrong with that at all. When you guys jump on, say hi. Nothing's wrong with it at all for you to, approach that man and just say hi. How are you? And the other thing is, I personally think, coming from a woman, I think it breaks the ice. Some men expect that to happen. Some expect that they should be the chaser, and they can chase. But if you like them and you want to meet them, nothing's wrong with you going up to them and say hi. Nothing's wrong with you breaking the ice, because again, they may be at the position where they're just as afraid as any other, woman would be afraid for them to, approach. This is just a new way of dating, a new way of, and who knows? It doesn't often have to be that you have to think that I'm going to approach him and we're going to, link up and, we're a match. Who knows? It might turn out to be a great friendship. You just never know. But don't put the title. I don't like to often put a title out there on a man, having a man think all the time it's the man's responsibility to do it. That's because that's what most people think. It's the macho thing for a man to do. But I don't think nothing's wrong with a woman approaching that man at all. It allows some good conversation. Again, it will break the ice with him. You could just basically say something as basic as, you know what, hi, my name is blah, 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 are you here with somebody? Nothing's wrong with that. Now, if you're fearful and they're fearful, then it's going to be hard for, any connection to happen, because neither one of you guys would ever probably give yourself the opportunity to meet each other, because nobody will make the first step. Somebody has to make the first step, and it doesn't always or often have to be the man. You would want, most women I will tell you, being a woman, most women want a man to, approach them first. But you know what? In this day and age, trust me, it's hard to find a good man. And so when it's hard to find a good man, I don't think anything's wrong with you stepping outside the box. You hear people often say, you know what, this market is really a hard market when it comes down to interviewing for jobs. I have to step outside the box so I remain a little bit different from the next person that comes along, so the person who's hiring can see me different than that other person. No different when it comes to that. You want to step outside the box. You want to be unique. Not to say that you're going to lay yourself out there, but nothing's wrong with breaking that ice and approaching the situation, because it makes it easier for him, it makes it easier for you. Who knows? It could be, a blossom friendship, a blossom relationship, but you will never ever know that if, one, you don't give yourself the chance, or he doesn't give himself the chance to approach you. So by all means, if you like somebody, break the ice, approach them. Don't ever be afraid. Don't ever be afraid to approach them at all, because you may miss the opportunity of letting your Mr. Right pass by, because he's just as afraid as you are, or he's even more afraid than you are, and he won't approach you. Sometimes what happens is, in this dating scene, men get shot down so many times, their ego gets their ego is hit too many times, and so they're a little afraid to approach the situation. So by all means, approach them and start a conversation. I don't like the fact that we do label that it's the man's responsibility to do this, it's the man's responsibility to do that. There are some things that are out there for, a responsibility for a man. I get it. I do get it. I'm not taking that away at all. I'm not taking it away. But what I'm saying to you is, if you're in a position and you're comfortable within your own skin, by all means approach that person. If you're comfortable in your own skin and you don't have a problem with, there's nothing wrong with approaching it. But I'm going to say this. Don't ever approach somebody in a situation of thinking, it could be in the back of your mind, but don't ever approach them in the mind of, I really like him, I'm going out to, get him. Approach him in a mindset that you're going into it, that you're gonna have a conversation and see where it goes. Leave it open. Don't seal the deal or thinking you're sealing the deal by approaching them and saying, I'm gonna get them. There may be a possibility you might, but sometimes when you go into it with that mindset, you set yourself up to be cocky about it. And so if they do take the bait, what happens is, because you're so cocky, you don't allow yourself to be humble. So the progression of the friendship onto the relationship sometimes breaks down. And the reason why it breaks down is because you now carry an ego, because you feel like you created this situation. And so even if you take the opportunity to approach them, remember to take the opportunity to lay back a little bit and allow them or allow him to lead the conversation or interact in the conversation. If you've made that first step and you've broken that ice, allow them to, engage in the conversation. Allow them to ask you some questions. Allow you to ask them some questions. So don't allow your ego to get in the way, because like I said, what happens to an ego getting in the way is you think I, approached this situation. I got it right where I wanted. I knew he liked me, blah, blah. Then again, you don't allow the relationship to move the way it needs to move. And so then, because that doesn't happen, then you're like, well, I don't understand. Maybe he's, stuff. No, it's not. That a lot of times we carry an ego and we just feel like, we did it. And so we did it, and we knew that was going to happen. And so allow yourself to step back and be the woman in that situation, and allow him to, utilize his, chasing traits, because that's what men are there for. They love to chase us. They love to chase us. And so it's important to allow them to have that opportunity to do that. But like I said, don't lay all your cards out on the table, because if you lay all your cards out on the table, then you've exposed your hand and he knows everything about you. And then at that point, you have nothing to conversate about. You have nothing to allow you to move forward, or to, allow your friendship to move on, to your relationship to grow, because now you've laid all your cards out, on the deck. And so with that being said, I'm going to say, do it. I will be the first. If I like somebody and I'm out there and I was single and I saw them, I'll be the first to approach. I will be the first to approach them. So let's say, what about women proposing to men? That's weird to me. For me, I don't think anything is wrong with it. The problem I have with that is this. Both parties, no different if it was a man proposing to a woman. It's no difference than that. So if it was vice versa, you need to know where you stand in that relationship. You need to know where, what direction you guys are going to go. I think what happens sometimes with us as women, we want to propose because we want something to happen instantly. And so a lot of times if we propose, it's usually because we don't feel like the man that's in our life that we want to be with is moving at the pace that we want them to move at. And so at that point, it becomes a little bit difficult. So as long as you know that you're at a place, that he's at the same place that you're at, that he's ready to move forward in marriage, I don't think anything's wrong with it. But I often see that most women who do approach a man and ask them to marry him, a lot of times is because we feel like that man is not moving at a pace that we expect them to move at. So then what we feel is we're going to propose to them. That for me sometimes takes a little bit, it takes some stripes from the man, because a man wants to be the one to propose to a woman. So I don't think anything's wrong with it. If both parties agree, I don't think anything's wrong with it. But I will say sometimes us as females and us as women, what we tend to do is we tend to approach the situation and expect things to happen on our time. And a lot of times things don't happen at our pace. We need to sit back, relax, and allow it to happen at our pace, because we love harder, we love quicker. And so our mindset of thinking of where we need to be, it's not where they need to be. If you're out there and you're a woman that's gonna propose to your maid, I would say have a conversation and ask some prying, some prying questions, poking and prying and asking some things of your soon to be husband. Ask those questions, because the difficult piece is I don't ever want somebody to get out there and try to propose to somebody and that person's not on the same page, vice versa, where it's woman, a man, woman proposing to man or man proposing to woman. You don't ever want to get into a space where you propose to somebody and they're just not ready. It's not that they're out to hurt you. It's just that you're way more advanced or you're way more ready than they are. And it's not fair to them if you put them in a situation to ask them a question and they're just not ready. Another thing I'm going to say to you in regards to that is when you put yourself in that position, you don't allow yourself to have a great marriage. And what I mean by that is this. If you put yourself in a position where you force your mate to say yes because you're proposed to them, then the problem you run into is it doesn't allow your marriage to grow. Because now what you've done is you've sped up the process too fast. And so what's going to happen is throughout your relationship on to marriage, somebody's going to be behind the 8 ball all the time. And what that means is, let's say you're the person who approached them and asked them to marry them. And because they love you, but they're just not at that space, but they don't want to make you look crazy or embarrass you, they say, yeah, hesitate about doing it, but then they're like, yeah, Yep, I'll marry you. Yep, I'll marry you. What happens is when it comes down to you transitioning from your relationship to your marriage, that person who did it just because they didn't want to hurt your feelings or just because they didn't want to embarrass you, they're going to always be behind the eight ball. So, I mean, that's what makes marriages break down quick, because you haven't fixed some of those things and some of those small details in a relationship standpoint. And so that's why it's important to fix that first. If you can make sure your relationship is hitting on the key things prior to you getting married, then it allows you to make sure your marriage moving forward is okay. But yeah, I definitely say, you know, and this is for some of you guys that's out there that, you know, if you've ever had somebody that you approached and was fearful about it from a woman's standpoint, let me know. Hi, Tiana. So I have another question. What do you think about the scripture that says, "He who finds a wife," does this contradict that? It does in a sense, but my standpoint is this: because things are so different in life today, and I get that piece of it is in the Bible. I don't think anything is wrong with it. I don't think anything is wrong with the woman approaching a man in regards to, you know, saying, "Hi, you know what, I just want to have a conversation." They're not approaching that man and saying, "Hey, I want to marry you today." They're approaching them and they're approaching them in a sense of, "Hey, you know what, I want to have a conversation." And the question for tonight was, is it the man's responsibility to approach? And so I don't think nothing's wrong with them approaching them. I just think we put so much weight on a man to think that it's a-okay for a man to approach them. When it comes to the relationship, once that relationship gets to that piece, that's where I said women need to step back just a tad bit and allow the man to control that situation. But I don't think anything's wrong with them stepping to the man and just having a conversation. They're not going to them and pursuing them and saying, "Hey, you know what, I want you to marry me, I want you to marry me." But they're pursuing them in a sense of, you know, "Hi, let's have a conversation." And so that's my thought process of it. The other one is, for Mia, that's doing too much. If he wants to marry you, you better wait for him to ask. You can't keep a man that's not ready or don't want to be kept. That's exactly thirsty to me. Heck no, I would not even, hold on just a second. Heck no, I would not even set myself up for that. I get that. I get that piece of it, that, you know, and my mindset is this: there's women out there that, and I want you guys to step back with what I said. There's women out there that would approach a man and ask a man to marry them. There's nothing wrong. People are going to do what they want to do. There's nothing, I can't condone and say something's wrong with that. That's their life. But what I will say is, us as women, we tend to move a little bit too fast. So a lot of times when we're approaching a man and we're trying to propose to that man, the problem that we struggle with is we're already advanced and ready to move forward, and that man is not. And so what happens is you're going to constantly be behind the eight ball. So that's why if you're going to approach a person that you're out, you know, somewhere and you see him and you like him and you approach him in a sense of a friendship. And then what happens is, if it's meant to be to move on to a relationship, it will. But that's why I said early on, once you approach them and you find out there's some chemistry, you then need to step back and allow the man to chase you and allow the man to be the man that he is. And so that's what I mean by that. Let's go a little bit further. A man's supposed to find a wife. Yes, he's supposed to find a wife. But what I'm saying is, in regards to the fact that if there's a woman in a situation and she feels like, you know what, I want to propose to him, that's her prerogative. She has the right to do that. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying there's people out there that's going to do right from wrong regardless to what you say. But what I'm saying is, she has the right to do what she wants to do. But I do feel like once you approach that man, you need to step back and allow that man to do what that man needs to do, meaning that man needs to chase you as a woman. And a lot of times, I wouldn't set myself up to get my feelings hurt. It's a conversation you have to have. It's communication that you need to know. There's some things that's key that you need to know. It's important for you to know. And so you definitely don't ever want to put yourself out there where your heart is going to get hurt. And so it's nothing wrong with you approaching them and having a conversation, but anything else falls into places between you and them, no matter what. It's called walking. It's called waking up Adam too soon. Yeah, and that can happen because again, we as women we set ourselves up because we're way more advanced than a man is. We want to put ourselves out there. We want that man, and at all costs, we're gonna do everything we can to get that man. And so we may take the opportunity to go ahead and propose to that man, but you need to make sure there's a conversation you've had. Because if there isn't a conversation that you had and you don't know it, you're going into it blindly, you're setting yourself up. I came from the old world, the old-fashioned world that, you know what, it's up to the man to pursue me, it's up to man to propose to me, it's up to the man to do the things that the man needs to do. That's where I came from. But this new day and age, there's a lot of things that people are doing that are different. I can't say to them, nope, you don't. Your life is your life. You have to leave your life for you. But what I will tell you is, if you have the guts to approach them and you want to have a conversation with them, it's nothing wrong with doing it. I'm not saying don't walk up to them and say, hey, God told me you was my husband and we just met. That's suicide for real. Because then that man knows nothing about you. You know nothing about that man. But you want to make sure you have a relationship before you move into the next step. Take time. You know, a lot of times I tell people all the time, especially women, when it comes to women, we have to, you know, co-check ourselves a lot. Because again, we're driving super fast. We don't see the speed bump in front of us. So we're driving really, really fast, really, really fast. Then we hit that speed bump and bam, it slows us down. We're hurt. But it's only because we put that hurt onto us. Because we're living life, speeding through life, and then we expect things to fall into place like we want it to fall into place. Things will never fall into place like we want it to fall into place, because the two things that happens for us is we love fast and hard. And loving fast and hard is something that's going to cause you to get hurt if you're moving too fast and you don't take time to slow down. You have to give the man the opportunity to be at the same level that you are. Because if you don't give him that opportunity to get there, then two things is going to happen. He's either going to run because he's fearful because you're pushing him, or he's either going to stay put, have a conversation with you and say, hey, you know what? I'm just not ready. You're moving a little bit too fast. The difficult piece about that is then now we're hurt as women. We're hurt because that man did not deliver what we expected him to deliver. We expected him to say, you know what, I'm at the same pace that you are. We can move forward. No, you just have to give yourself the opportunity, give your spouse the opportunity, give your partner the opportunity to get where you are. If you love him and he loves you, or vice versa, it will get to that level. But never ever rush somebody to the altar, because rushing somebody to the altar is a disaster. It may not last. It may last for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe 10 years. But I promise you, it will be 1, 2 to 10 rocky years, or it'll be 1, 2, 3 good years, and then the rest are rocky years. Because then what happens is there's going to be some animosity that comes out of that. Either the animosity is going to be on the person who wasn't quite ready, and then it's going to spill over into the marriage. Or it's going to be some animosity on the person that was there, but you're not there, and that spills over into the marriage. So I'm going to say you just have to make sure you're doing everything you can do to make sure you guys are on the same page. Because if you're not on the same page, then what you do is you set yourself up for heartache that no one wants to have to deal with. So let's see. I think this is from LS. I think that female need to be patient. No proposing from the ladies. Now it's okay for the females to go with her move if she sees Supum. She like flirt, baby flirt. I agree. I think it's fun for you to approach them. I will say nothing's wrong with you approaching somebody that you see. But like I said in the beginning, once you approach, step back as a woman and allow that man to do what that man needs to do. Because that's what a man is there to do. Mashed, dating is a data collection. You're collecting information on each other if you're compatible. And I agree. That's why it's important. You can't ever, and this one thing people need to understand, you can't jump from a relationship. You can't jump from, just dating somebody and then all of a sudden, bam, in a couple of weeks or so, you're just going to get married. The reason why you can't do that is simply because you haven't allowed your time to collect the data that you needed. He haven't allowed himself the time to collect the data that he needed to find out if you guys are compatible. Sometimes what happens, you know how when you just meet somebody, you have that fuzzy feeling in your stomach and the butterflies and you're all excited? That's the first date. And then you get to the second date, and then he says one thing in a conversation and the butterflies just disappear. You have to allow yourself, one, to figure out which directions they're willing to go, which direction you're willing to go. One of the key things that's important, and I think that's, a struggle with a lot of marriages, is people tend to jump into a marriage and they're not on the same page. And what I mean by not on the same page is this. They're not on the same page when it comes to raising kids. They're not on the same page when it comes to a religion background. They're not on the same page as to, when it comes to a woman, when it comes to the man needs to be the man of the household and understand that component of it. So it's a lot of things that, add to, when it comes to a marriage. It's not just we walk down the aisle, we have a pretty dress on, he has a, nice tuxedo, bam. No, it's not like that. You have to make sure you understand their background, they understand your background. And the two background has to find a way to work. You're coming from two different worlds. And so coming from two different worlds, you have to allow yourself to figure out a way. If you want that relationship and that marriage to work, you have to find out a way to allow the two backgrounds to connect. There's going to be give and take. Don't ever think in your life you're in a marriage and once you get married, it's done. No. Every day there's give and take. Every day there's going to be, an issue or a concern or a conversation. That's every day. That's the piece that I think a lot of people get a little bit confused about when it comes to marriage. They think they walk down the aisle, the pastor marry them, they have this glorified wedding, this beautiful dress. Then a year or two into it, they get, a house, they get their kids, and everything is hunky-dory. Nope. You have to constantly work on it. Don't ever think you're in a marriage or in a relationship and you're not working on it. The mindset I will give to you guys today is, if you're new into a relationship, work hard in that relationship to give and take. And the reason why I say that to you is because if you take the time to work hard on that relationship with giving and take, I promise you, when you step over to marriage, it's going to make it a little bit easier. You're going to have all the tools in your toolbox that you need, or all the tools in your tool belt that you need to be able to adjust when it comes to, a situation in your marriage, when rocks are falling and they're coming hitting you from left to right. It's going to be much easier for you to adjust to it. So know that anytime you're in a marriage or relationship, a lot of people think, I struggle really hard in my relationships and I just don't understand, why, now I'm in my marriage, it should be easy. No. Relationships is no different. The difference between a relationship is you're working towards marriage. I would hope that you're working towards marriage. And in that marriage, once that marriage happens, you guys are considered one. It's one. You guys are considered one unit. And what that means is you need to function and work as one unit. So you can't have one person doing one thing and another person doing another thing. You have to work as one unit. It's important to make sure that happens. Because if you don't find a way to work as one unit, then you set yourself or your marriage up for failure. So let's see who else is out there. The other thing I want to say too is, hey Mel, the other thing I want to say is, I think a lot of times with, this day and age, a lot of times what happens is we do put a lot of weight onto, men. We do put a lot of pressure onto, guys to make sure, they're doing all the things that's right. And I get that. But we want to make sure we're just as right as they are. And so a lot of times with us putting a lot of pressure on men, I want us women to co-check ourselves and think to ourselves, am I where I need to be for him, just like he needs to be where, I expect him to be for me? So make sure you're checking yourself. You're cleaning up around your yard and making sure your yard is clean and pretty. So when that does happen, you've done everything that you need to do. Because if you're going to put the weight on him, you can't put the weight on him and he come to the table right where he needs to be, and you come to the table wishy-washy. And so it's important to make sure, and that's why I say this often. If you're single and you're out there and you're looking for your Mr. Right, take time to focus on you and get you together. Once you take time to focus on you and get yourself together, then all those things will fall in place. Now, once that situation falls in place, meaning you meet somebody and you're in a relationship, allow that man to be a man in the relationship. Don't think, a lot of people, and this was a struggle for me in the beginning. A lot of times I thought submission was me doing everything my husband say do. And so I will tell you, I was the first one to give a little pushback. You know what? If he came to me and said, look, I work a 9-to-5 job just like you work a 9-to-5 job. You can't tell me what to do. Because my thought process was back in the day, my mama could be submissive because my mama was a stay-at-home wife. She stayed at home. She took care of the kids. She washed the clothes. She cooked. She made sure my daddy came in. His bath water was ran. That was her job. That was her duties. But this new day and age, I'm working a 9-to-5 hard just like you. I'm coming home. I'm cooking. I'm making sure the kids together. So I had to learn that my submission, being submissive was a little bit different than what I thought it was. And so being submissive had nothing to do with him telling me, he's control, he's a control of me. No, it had to do with me allowing him to be the man that God created him to be. And that piece of it was important. And so I had to learn that the hard way. But you know what? I learned it and I got it together, and I appreciate my husband, standing, right by me along the way and, getting me together, because I was like, how to get a mess. But I will say, I will say that was one of my struggles. And so I say, if you're newly into a relationship, find you somebody who's been married, got some longevity in a marriage. Have a conversation with them. Just say, you know what? I think this might be my Mr. Right. I'm just not quite sure. What do you think? Utilize somebody who has some who's seasoned in a marriage. Utilize them and ask those questions, because I promise you, if they mean right by you, they're going to give you the answers that you're looking for. But know that allow the man to be a man. And it's not always the man's responsibility to approach the woman. If the woman sees somebody that she likes, I don't see anything wrong with them breaking the ice and having a conversation. Once you break that ice and you have that conversation, step back and allow the man to be the man that God created him to be. And if he's interested, he's going to do those things. If he's not interested and he's showing you signs that he's not interested, don't waste your time. Don't waste your energy. It's okay to meet somebody and create a friendship out of it, and it doesn't get to a relationship. Sometimes that's okay, because you never know. But if you're not ready for another friendship in the male, then I'm going to say, just say, hey, you know what, I appreciate you, conversating with me, but you know what, I think we're going on two different highways. Here's what I'm looking for, and I don't think that's where you are. I think it's okay for you to be honest. Nothing's wrong with you being honest and sincere with somebody. Remember, it's key. Make sure your approach and your delivery is checked at the door, because sometimes we mean well in how we want to deliver something to somebody, where it's good, bad, or ugly, but our approach and our delivery is so horrible that person takes it the wrong way. And so with that being said, we're going to wrap up here just a little bit. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to say, at the end of the day, take some time, breathe, enjoy life, be patient, wait, and know that whenever God is ready for you to find your Mr. Right, he'll send him your way. But make sure you've cleansed yourself to make sure when your Mr. Right comes, your slate is clean, you have no extra baggage to carry, and you guys will be great together. So be patient. He's out there. He's waiting. He's going to come your way. No different for a man. Do the same thing. If you've been hurt, you've been, battered, in a relationship, and you're coming out of a relationship, allow yourself to work on you before you move forward into a new relationship. I used to hear people say all the time, you know what, the easiest thing is when I'm, struggling and I, broke up with somebody, the easiest thing is for me to just start dating again. No, it's not. It's not. It doesn't help you, because what happens is you never allowed yourself to get rid of that previous baggage. So now what you've done is you've suppressed it and moved on to the next relationship. Now, when that person triggers some things from the first relationship, all that cesspool comes back up. So that's why it's important to make sure, because it's going to be something somebody says will trigger it and it will come back up. So with that being said, I'm going to say I appreciate you guys. And you know what? After Dark is coming up next. We're going to log off here. Give us about a minute or so. After Dark is coming up. And After Dark is going to be out, Freaks or Not. So let's discuss that a little bit. Have a good night. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. See you guys in 2 secs.